My dear chosen ones, life has a mysterious way of revealing God's will, especially when it comes to relationships. Sometimes you may meet a person who seems perfect on the surface, but deep down, the spirit within you whispers that something is not right. When God does not want you to be with someone, He will show you clear signs through circumstances, emotions, and even divine interventions. These signs are not to punish you, but to protect you. Remember, God's rejection is always His redirection towards something greater. Today, we are going to uncover 9 things that happen when God does not want you with someone, and how to recognize these signs so you can walk in alignment with His purpose. Before we begin, I want to take a moment to thank you for being here. If this message reaches you at the right time, I believe it is not by accident, it is divine alignment. If you are new to this channel, make sure you subscribe so you never miss out on powerful messages meant for the chosen ones. And if you feel that this video speaks to your spirit, I want you to type 1111 in the comments section. That simple act of faith will unlock divine blessings, guidance, and protection in your life. 1. You feel uneasy in their presence. One of the first and most subtle signs that God does not want you with someone is the constant uneasiness you feel in their presence. This uneasiness may not even make sense logically. You might not be able to pinpoint a clear reason, and if someone asked you what exactly is wrong, you might struggle to explain. But the truth is, your inner being, guided by the Spirit of God, already knows the answer. Chosen ones are especially sensitive to the promptings of the Holy Spirit. You can feel the energy of people. You can discern whether someone brings you closer to God or further away from His peace. When you find yourself consistently drained, restless, or emotionally unsettled after spending time with a person, that is not the fruit of love. The Bible says in Philippians 4:7 that the peace of God surpasses all understanding and will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. Real love from God brings peace, calm, and safety. On the contrary, false connections bring inner turbulence. Sometimes God allows you to sense this uneasiness as a divine alarm, an inner check in your spirit that warns you before you waste months or years investing in the wrong person. Don't dismiss that inner lack of peace as overthinking. It is often God whispering to your soul, my child, this is not for you. Peace is God's confirmation. A lack of peace is His warning. Learn to trust that feeling even when you cannot explain it with words, for it is one of the strongest ways God directs His chosen ones. 2. They pull you away from God. Another undeniable sign that God does not want you with someone is when they begin to pull you away from Him instead of drawing you closer. Relationships are meant to strengthen your spiritual walk, not weaken it. If you notice that your prayer life starts to shrink, your hunger for the Word of God decreases, or your desire to pursue your calling begins to fade simply because of someone's influence in your life, that is a major red flag. God will never send you a person who competes with His place in your heart. The first commandment says, "You shall have no other gods before me," Exodus 23. If a relationship causes you to place someone higher than God, or even causes you to neglect your intimate fellowship with Him, it is not from God. Sometimes the enemy sends people who appear loving, caring, and attractive, but their purpose is to quietly disconnect you from your source of strength. At first you may think, it's just one missed prayer, one skipped service, one small compromise, but slowly you begin to drift. By the time you realize it, your fire for God has grown cold. The chosen ones cannot afford such a trap. If your spirit notices that instead of feeling spiritually uplifted, you feel spiritually heavy, then God is signaling you to step away. Love that comes from God will always bring you deeper into His presence. But false connections will always distract you from it. Remember this truth: anything that pulls you away from God is never from God. 3. The relationship feels forced. When God is in a relationship, things flow with grace. There may be challenges, but even in them, there is a sense of alignment, stability, and divine peace. But when he is not in it, everything feels forced, unnatural, and difficult. You find yourself constantly trying to fix things, patch things up, and push things forward, yet no matter how hard you try, it keeps falling apart. This is not because you are a failure, it is because God is trying to show you that what is not built on him will never stand. Jesus said in Matthew 7:24-27 that the house built on the rock will stand, but the house built on sand will collapse when storms come. Relationships that are not rooted in God's will are like houses built on sand. They may look fine for a while, but the storms of life quickly reveal the cracks. A forced relationship drains your energy, consumes your peace, and leaves you empty. You may try to justify staying, saying, "Maybe if I just give it more time, more effort, more prayer." But deep down you know that what is divine doesn't need to be forced, it flows. Divinely aligned relationships are marked by mutual growth, love, and purpose. They bless you, not break you. If you find yourself in a place where the relationship is nothing but constant struggle, repeated disappointment, and unending effort with no fruit, then that is God's way of saying, "This is not where I want you." His grace makes what is from him flow, but without his blessing, it will always feel like a battle. 4. Constant conflict and misunderstanding. Every relationship will experience disagreements. After all, no two people are exactly alike. However, when conflict becomes the foundation of the relationship, when small issues constantly turn into major battles, and when peace is absent more than it is present, that is a sign that you are unequally yoked. The Bible warns us in 2 Corinthians 6:14 not to be unequally yoked with unbelievers, for what fellowship can light have with darkness? If the relationship is filled with endless strife, toxic arguments, and misunderstandings that never seem to resolve, God is showing you that this is not where you belong. The chosen ones thrive in environments of peace, because God is not the author of confusion, 1 Corinthians 14:33. When you are with the wrong person, even the simplest conversations can turn into heavy debates. Instead of building each other up, you constantly tear each other down. Instead of creating an atmosphere of love, you are always repairing damage from the last argument. This cycle is exhausting and spiritually draining. Godly love brings patience, understanding, forgiveness, and humility. It brings peace even in disagreement. But ungodly love brings chaos, resentment, and pain. If you find yourself in a relationship where conflict overshadows joy and understanding never lasts, take it as God's way of protecting you. He doesn't want his children stuck in endless turmoil. He wants them to flourish in relationships that reflect his love, peace, and unity. 5. Their actions don't match their words. Another clear sign that God does not want you with someone is when their actions consistently fail to align with their words. God reveals truth through consistency. A person can say all the right things, they can promise you love, loyalty, and commitment, but if their actions show the opposite, then they are not walking in truth. Broken promises, dishonesty, and manipulation are not characteristics of someone God wants tied to your destiny. Jesus said in Matthew 7:16, "By their fruits you will know them. Words are cheap, but actions reveal the heart. If someone constantly tells you, 'I love you, I support you, I'll be there for you,' but they continually fail to show up, continually let you down, and continually choose their own desires over your well-being, then God is showing you their true nature. The chosen ones cannot afford to be bound to someone who lives in lies or masks deception with sweet talk. Love from God is proven in action, not just in speech. It manifests in consistency, integrity, and truth. When you find yourself questioning someone's sincerity more often than you feel secure in their love, that is God's warning. He does not want his children to be deceived by empty words. Pay close attention not to what a person says, but to what they do. Actions always reveal the truth that words try to hide. And when God shows you this pattern, it is not to hurt you. It is to protect you from being tied to someone who will derail your destiny. 6. Doors begin to close. Have you noticed that when you are connected to the wrong person, life itself begins to feel blocked? Things that once flowed easily now feel like a constant uphill battle. Opportunities that used to appear without struggle suddenly dry up. Favor that followed you begins to vanish. Even your inner creativity and motivation begin to shrink. This is not a random coincidence. It is often God's way of intervening. When you are in alignment with the wrong person, your spirit feels restricted because God cannot bless what is not in His will. The Bible shows us many examples of how disobedience or misalignment can delay blessings. Jonah ran from God's assignment and suddenly a storm hit his ship. Jonah 1. Sometimes God allows storms and closed doors in relationships because He knows where that path will lead if you continue. He loves you too much to let you destroy yourself with the wrong person. So instead, He shuts doors to redirect you. When you let go of that person, suddenly things begin to flow again. Your mind becomes clearer, your prayers gain strength, and divine opportunities start opening. It is like chains being removed from your spirit. Remember this truth: God is not trying to punish you when doors close. He is trying to protect and preserve you. If every door seems shut while you're with someone, don't ignore it. Step back and ask, Lord, is this you protecting me? More often than not, the closed doors are God's clear message: this is not the one I chose for you. 7. You outgrow them spiritually and mentally. Chosen ones are called to constant growth. You are not meant to remain at the same level year after year. You are destined to keep evolving in wisdom, purpose, and spiritual maturity. But sometimes you find yourself connected to someone who refuses to grow with you. At first, the relationship may feel balanced, but as time passes, you begin to see the gap. Your hunger for God deepens, but theirs remains shallow. Your desire for self-improvement grows, but they remain stuck in old habits. Instead of inspiring your growth, they begin to resent it. This is often God's way of showing you that the relationship is no longer aligned. Amos 3:3 says, "Can two walk together, except they be agreed?" Growth requires agreement in direction. When one is moving forward and the other refuses to, conflict, frustration, and imbalance naturally follow. Instead of lifting you higher, they hold you back, making you feel guilty for becoming who God designed you to be. But chosen ones cannot shrink themselves to fit into relationships that no longer serve their destiny. God sometimes allows this misalignment to become obvious so that you can release what is temporary and embrace what is eternal. Outgrowing someone spiritually and mentally does not mean you are superior. It simply means your assignment requires more than what they can give. If your spirit begins to feel caged around them, that is God's signal. He is saying you cannot walk in your full purpose here. When God elevates you, not everyone is meant to go with you. Some relationships are seasonal, and recognizing when a season is over is a sign of spiritual maturity. 8. They do not support your purpose. The right person will water your purpose, pray with you, and encourage you to boldly walk in your calling. They don't just love you, they also believe in the vision God has placed inside you. But when God does not want you with someone, they will show the opposite. They may mock your dreams, ignore your progress, or quietly discourage your efforts. They cannot see or understand your vision because it was not revealed to them. It was revealed to you. This doesn't mean they are evil. It simply means they are not assigned to your destiny. The chosen ones must be careful here, because walking with someone who does not support your purpose can drain your energy and cause you to doubt what God told you. Imagine Nehemiah trying to rebuild the wall while surrounded by people who only mocked and opposed him. Nehemiah 4. If Nehemiah had allowed their discouragement to stop him, the wall would never have been completed. Likewise, your destiny requires supporters, not dream killers. The enemy loves to place people close to you who look loving but are secretly choking your purpose with doubt, jealousy, or carelessness. God will never tie you to someone who silences your calling. The right connection will challenge you, uplift you, and remind you of God's promises when you forget them. The wrong one will distract you, weaken you, and make you question your value. If you notice that instead of feeling fueled for purpose, you always feel drained around someone, that is God's clear signal: this person cannot go where I am taking you. 9. You receive divine signs and warnings. Sometimes God speaks in ways we cannot ignore. He may place dreams in your heart, send visions, or allow repeated signs in your daily life to confirm His will. You may sit in church and hear a sermon that feels like it was preached directly for your situation. You may open the Bible and land on a verse that speaks to your exact struggle. You may even meet a stranger who unknowingly confirms what you've been feeling. These are not coincidences, they are divine warnings. God sees what you cannot see. He knows the heart of every person, even when their true self is hidden from you. Because He loves you, He sends signs again and again. Sometimes it's a sudden uneasiness in your spirit. Other times it's a situation exposing their true character. But the mistake many chosen ones make is ignoring these warnings because they desperately want the relationship to work. Remember, disobedience to God's leading always leads to pain. Trust His signs even when they hurt. He is not trying to take something good away from you. He is protecting you from what would destroy you. Divine warnings are like road signs. Ignore them and you end up in danger. But when you obey, you walk into safety and blessing. The more you seek God, the clearer His voice becomes. Pay attention to the repeated nudges, the red flags, and the confirmations. God never fails to warn His children before disaster. If you're receiving signs again and again, it's because He is saying, "This is not the one, trust me." My dear chosen one, remember this. When God removes someone from your life, it is not rejection, it is protection. Trust that He knows the future you cannot see. He knows the harm you are being saved from, and He knows the blessings waiting on the other side of obedience. This is the Zillion Mind Channel. If this message has spoken to your heart, type 1111 in the comments right now and claim your divine blessing. Don't forget to subscribe, because more messages are coming your way to guide you on your journey as a chosen one. Thank you for watching. Every chosen one reaches a moment in life where the pressure becomes almost unbearable, the silence becomes deafening, and the path ahead seems completely blocked. But what most people don't understand is that these very moments are not signs of defeat. They are indicators of a divine setup. When God is preparing a chosen one for a comeback so great it will silence every doubt and scatter every enemy, the process often looks like everything is falling apart. But in reality, everything is falling into place. Before we dive deep into these powerful signs, take a moment to stay connected to messages that strengthen your spirit. If this message is reaching you at the exact moment you needed it, a moment of confusion, weariness, or transition, type 1111 in the comments section for divine blessings and alignment. And make sure you subscribe, because more messages of clarity, guidance, and divine truth are coming your way. 1. Your life enters a strange, uncomfortable pause. When a chosen one is about to rise, life begins to slow down in ways that don't make sense to the logical mind. It feels as though every area of your life enters an unexplained stillness. Opportunities you thought were guaranteed suddenly become silent. People who used to rely on you or communicate with you begin drifting away. Projects that once carried momentum seem to hit invisible walls. This pause is not laziness, not failure, and not stagnation, though it may feel like all three at the same time. It is a divine interruption. A celestial hand reaches into your timeline and presses the pause button with purpose and precision. When God is preparing you for elevation, He removes the noise that could distract you from hearing His instruction. If He allowed everything to continue at full speed, you would move based on habit, comfort, or routine rather than revelation. This silence you are experiencing is a spiritual recalibration. You may feel restless, uncomfortable, or confused because the pace of your life no longer matches the urgency of your spirit. But that tension is sacred. This slowing down is not punishment, it is preparation. You are being pulled out of your old rhythm so that God can synchronize you with a new one. Breakthrough requires alignment, and alignment requires quietness. It is in this quiet that your intuition sharpens, your spirit awakens, and your distractions fall off. Think of this pause as the moment before a slingshot releases. The further God pulls you back, the greater the force behind your forward launch. What feels like delay is actually acceleration in disguise. What feels like stillness is the gathering of divine energy preparing to thrust you into the next dimension of your purpose. This pause is your spiritual reset. The air becomes still, the noise softens, and the atmosphere shifts, because heaven is preparing to speak direction into your life. And when the pause ends, nothing will ever be the same again. 2. Old things start falling apart all at once. There comes a moment before every major elevation when everything familiar begins to disintegrate. Not slowly, not gently, but all at once, as if life is intentionally dismantling itself around you. People you relied on suddenly become distant. Jobs that felt stable begin showing cracks. Plans you were sure about crumble unexpectedly. Routines that once brought comfort now feel empty and ineffective. This collapse is not random, and it is not an attack. This is divine demolition. God is tearing down the structures of your old life so they don't become cages in your next season. Everything that starts falling apart is falling apart for you, not against you. When destiny calls, anything that cannot carry the weight of your future must be removed. Old relationships that kept you small begin drifting away. Environments that limited your growth become uncomfortable. Habits that kept you stagnant lose their grip. God is stripping away everything that was built on insecurity, survival mode, or broken identity. You cannot rise carrying dead weight from past chapters. This season feels chaotic because you can't see the blueprint yet. When walls are being torn down, it feels like destruction. But to the builder, it is preparation for reconstruction. In the same way, God cannot build your next chapter on foundations that were never strong enough to support your purpose. He removes what you would have settled for so He can give you what you were meant for. Yes, it is painful. Yes, it is confusing. Yes, it feels unfair. But all divine transitions feel like loss before they reveal themselves as upgrades. What you perceive as endings are actually spiritual beginnings wrapped in disguise. The falling apart is evidence that heaven is preparing a new structure, a new path, and a new season that aligns with your true calling. What looks like collapse is actually clearing space for your comeback. 3. You feel a deep inner shift you can't explain. Before anything changes externally, chosen ones always feel the shift internally. It begins subtly, an unexplainable discomfort with what once felt normal. You may find yourself losing interest in conversations that used to energize you. You feel disconnected from old patterns, old environments, and old versions of yourself. You sense that something is off, even though you can't pinpoint what it is. This internal stirring is heaven. signaling that your spirit has outgrown your current situation. You begin craving solitude, clarity, meaning, and deeper purpose. You feel spiritually sensitive, aware of energies, emotions, and intentions in ways you weren't before. You might feel a pull towards something greater, yet you don't know what that greater is. You may experience bursts of reflection, sudden awareness of your own habits, or a rising dissatisfaction with routines that once brought comfort. This shift is the soul preparing for elevation. It is the shedding of old identity layers so the real you can emerge. You cannot ignore this feeling. It follows you everywhere. It shows up in conversations, in your sleep, in your thoughts, and in the quiet moments when you realize you're no longer the same. This inner shift is not anxiety. It is not confusion. It is transformation. It is alignment. It is the spiritual version of a seed cracking open before it becomes a tree. The breaking is uncomfortable, but it is necessary for growth. Your spirit is being tuned to a higher frequency, preparing you for blessings, opportunities, and responsibilities that require a stronger, wiser, more awakened version of you. When heaven is about to elevate you, it upgrades your inner world first. You are being prepared from the inside out so that when the external blessings arrive, your spirit is ready to carry them without breaking. This shift is the first whisper of your comeback. 4. Isolation increases. Not because you choose it, but because you're chosen. Isolation is one of the most misunderstood signs of divine elevation. You're not withdrawing from people. People are withdrawing from you. You're not cutting ties. Ties are being cut for you. Invitations stop coming. Conversations shorten. People who once understood you now feel distant. You may even wonder if you did something wrong. But what you're experiencing is spiritual separation, not social rejection. When God is preparing a chosen one, He removes you from crowds, noise, and familiar patterns so He can work on you privately. Greatness is never formed in public. It is shaped in silence, in solitude, in unseen moments where God strengthens your foundation, clarifies your purpose, and purifies your spirit. If people stayed around you during this phase, their expectations, projections, and opinions would interfere with what God is trying to reveal. The isolation can feel painful, especially when it comes without explanation. But this loneliness is holy. It is heaven's way of saying, I need your attention, I need your surrender, I need your spirit still enough so you can hear me. Every chosen one goes through a season where they feel forgotten, overlooked, or invisible, but that invisibility is divine protection. God is hiding you until the appointed time, when your comeback will speak louder than anything you could say. You may wonder why relationships are falling away, but the truth is this: not everyone can go where you're going. Not everyone can handle the anointing you carry or the future you're stepping into. Isolation removes access from those who might contaminate your growth, interrupt your healing, or sabotage your elevation. This season is not about losing people, it's about gaining clarity. It is a cocoon season, where the caterpillar disappears from the world before emerging transformed. If you feel alone right now, understand this: you are not being abandoned, you are being prepared. And when the preparation is complete, your comeback will be undeniable. 5. Attacks intensify right before the breakthrough. Right before elevation, chosen ones experience an unusual increase in pressure, warfare, and spiritual resistance. It may come through unexpected emotional turmoil, financial instability, misunderstandings with people, or sudden waves of heaviness that feel almost unnatural. The timing of these attacks often feels cruel. You're already drained, you're already waiting, and suddenly the intensity turns up even more. But this increase in pressure is one of the strongest signs that a breakthrough is near. The enemy does not waste resources attacking someone who is stagnant. He attacks those who are on the brink of becoming dangerous to darkness. These attacks are not random. They are reactions. Your spirit is shifting, your frequency is rising, and your divine purpose is activating. Even before you see it, the spiritual realm feels the movement. The enemy senses your awakening long before you fully step into it. So he tries to confuse you, discourage you, overwhelm you, or push you into giving up right before your blessing arrives. But what you must understand is this: pressure increases before promotion, storms come before clarity, chaos rises before breakthroughs manifest. You may feel fatigued, doubting yourself, or questioning if you are even on the right path. Yet this very discomfort is confirmation. Chosen ones do not ascend without opposition. The magnitude of the attack often reveals the magnitude of the destiny waiting on the other side. You are not being punished, you are being refined. Every struggle is strengthening your spirit, sharpening your discernment, and preparing you for the responsibility that comes with elevation. The attacks you face in this season are meant to weaken old versions of you that cannot survive your next level. The fear is being drained out, the insecurity is being confronted, the doubts are being exposed. You are being tested not to fail but to prove what has already been placed within you. And when the breakthrough finally appears, you will realize every attack was a sign. Heaven was preparing to lift you higher. 6. You start losing fear and gaining clarity. In the midst of uncertainty, something strange begins to happen inside a chosen one. Fear starts dissolving. Not because circumstances improve, not because answers appear, and not because the challenges disappear. Fear fades because your spirit begins to awaken to the realization that everything you went through was shaping you, not destroying you. This inner calm is one of the clearest signs that you are entering a season of divine transformation. The panic that once controlled you begins declining. The confusion that used to cloud your thoughts begins clearing. The anxiety that once made you doubt yourself loses its power. This clarity does not come from logic, it comes from alignment. It is the result of God pulling your spirit into a deeper awareness of who you are and whose you are. Suddenly you begin seeing patterns, understanding lessons, and recognizing how your pain prepared you. You stop fearing what's ahead because something inside you knows you are finally becoming the version of yourself God always intended. Your intuition strengthens. Your decisions become more intentional. Your heart becomes steadier. You may still be surrounded by the same circumstances, but your internal world is shifting. The storm may still be raging, but you no longer feel tossed around by it. This peace is not natural, it is supernatural. It is a sign that God is transitioning you from survival mode to purpose mode. You begin to understand the battles you fought, the betrayals you endured, and the delays you faced were not setbacks, they were divine setups for growth. This clarity becomes a compass. It guides you through uncertainty with stability and grace. It shows you that the confusion was temporary and the fear was an illusion. As your spirit becomes clearer, your path becomes clearer. And before long you realize this inner stability is heaven's way of saying, "You're ready. What's coming is greater than what was lost." 7. You begin receiving unexpected signs, dreams, and confirmations. As your comeback draws near, heaven begins communicating with you in ways that feel too precise to be coincidence. You start seeing repeated signs, numbers, symbols, scriptures, phrases, or moments that speak directly to your situation. You might wake up from dreams that feel unusually vivid, meaningful, or prophetic. Even simple conversations with strangers or random moments throughout your day begin confirming what your spirit already sensed but couldn't articulate. These divine nudges are heaven's way of revealing that the season is shifting. When a chosen one is about to rise, God increases communication because He wants you aligned with your next assignment. You may feel drawn to certain messages, songs, teachings, or passages without knowing why. You may feel God speaking to you through intuition, gentle pushes, sudden clarity, or strong internal knowing. These are not coincidences, they are spiritual breadcrumbs leading you toward your next step. At this stage, your discernment heightens. You begin picking up on details you overlooked before. You sense truth more clearly and lies more quickly. Your dreams become more symbolic and purposeful. Your spirit becomes more sensitive to direction. This is God tuning your inner ear so you can hear Him clearly. When destiny approaches, divine communication increases. These signs are meant to remind you that you are not walking blindly. Heaven is guiding you. Your ancestors, angels, or divine helpers are orchestrating synchronicities that reassure your heart. God confirms His message repeatedly because He wants you confident, not confused, aligned, not anxious. Every sign you notice is evidence that the spiritual realm is moving on your behalf. Every dream is a message preparing you. Every confirmation is a reminder that your story is unfolding exactly as it should. These nudges are not accidental. They are preparation for the biggest shift of your life. 8. You feel a sudden burst of purpose, vision, or creativity. Before the comeback manifests physically, it always begins internally. After a long season of heaviness, confusion, or stagnation, something inside you suddenly wakes up. You feel sparks of ideas flowing again. You sense inspiration rising. You feel motivated in ways you haven't felt in months or even years. This is not random. It is the breath of God igniting your spirit. You may begin seeing visions of what you want to create, imagining new possibilities or feeling excitement about your future again. This renewed inner fire is a divine sign that your destiny is being activated. Chosen ones often go through long periods where their creativity feels blocked and their purpose feels distant. But when the comeback is near, God restores everything that felt numb inside you. Your passion returns, your energy reawakens, your focus sharpens. You begin recognizing ideas as instructions, not fantasies. Inspiration becomes guidance, vision becomes prophecy. This creative surge is also a sign that you are stepping into alignment with your true identity. You are no longer thinking from fear, you are thinking from faith. You are no longer creating from survival, you are creating from purpose. The heaviness that once clouded your mind begins lifting, making space for divine downloads. Ideas that were waiting for the right version of you to receive them. You may feel excited, emotional, or overwhelmed by how much is suddenly flowing through you. That is because your spirit is waking up. The seeds of destiny planted in you long ago are beginning to sprout. This is God whispering, "Get ready. Your time is approaching." Your creativity is not returning randomly. It is returning because what you are about to step into requires a renewed mind, a stronger imagination, and a revitalized spirit. Your comeback will be built first in your heart before it appears in your life. 9. You feel an unshakable sense that something big is coming. This final sign is perhaps the strongest of all. Even when nothing in your life outwardly suggests change, something inside you knows that a shift is coming. You may wake up with a sense of expectancy, go through your day with a quiet confidence, or sense a deep inner knowing that your story is about to transform. It is not wishful thinking, not delusion, and not imagination. It is spiritual discernment. Chosen ones can feel destiny before they see it. This inner knowing is proof that your spirit is aligned with what heaven is preparing. It's a calm anticipation that the pain you endured is about to make sense. The lessons you learned are about to become valuable. The tears you cried were watering the soil for the blessings that are now growing beneath the surface. You feel this shift because the spiritual realm is already moving, even if the physical world hasn't caught up yet. Nothing can shake this feeling, not doubt, not delay, not fear. You might still be waiting, but you no longer feel hopeless. You may still be fighting battles, but you no longer feel defeated. You may still be in transition, but you no longer feel lost. That quiet confidence inside you is divine evidence that breakthrough is not only coming, it's already unfolding. This sense of expectancy is the final confirmation that heaven is aligning everything: your steps, your opportunities, your relationships, and your timing. Destiny is positioning itself around you. Blessings are drawing closer. Doors are preparing to open. When a chosen one feels this unshakable shift, it means the spiritual climax is near. Something big is not only coming, it's inevitable. Your comeback is already written, already blessed, and already in motion. If you are experiencing any of these signs, even just 2 or 3, understand this: you are not breaking down. You are breaking through. Your comeback will not be small, silent, or ordinary. It will be a comeback that reveals why the battle was so intense, why the waiting was so long, and why God had to separate you before elevating you. This is the Zillion Mind Channel. If this message reached you at the perfect time, don't forget to type 1111 in the comments for divine blessings, and make sure you subscribe so you never miss a message meant for your spirit. Your comeback is closer than you think. Thank you for watching. Chosen one, there comes a time in your journey when God elevates you not by lifting you onto a throne, but by allowing your presence alone to shake the thrones of the mighty. You may not realize it at first, but there is a divine power working through you, a spiritual authority that does not come from titles, wealth, or recognition. It comes from obedience, humility, and the quiet strength God planted in your soul. When God wants to humble the mighty, He often chooses someone the world least expects, someone overlooked, underestimated, or even rejected. That someone is you. You were not chosen because you were the loudest, the strongest, or the most popular. You were chosen because your heart carries a purity that cannot be bought, and a resilience that cannot be destroyed. The mighty often stand on external power, money, influence, appearance, or status. But you stand on spiritual foundation, and when God is ready to shift the atmosphere, He uses people like you to expose the emptiness of earthly arrogance. These signs will reveal why the mighty become uncomfortable, intimidated, or even humbled by your existence, long before you ever open your mouth. 1. The mighty feel threatened by your silence. Your silence speaks louder than their boasting. You don't need to shout to be heard. Your quiet spirit carries divine weight, a weight that shakes the foundations of those who rely on external noise to feel significant. When you enter a room, you don't enter with fireworks or theatrics. You enter with presence, with a spiritual stillness that cannot be imitated or fabricated. People who are used to dominating spaces with aggression, loudness, or ego suddenly feel an unfamiliar discomfort rising within them. It's not that you are doing anything dramatic or intentional, it's that your inner calm exposes the restlessness inside them. Your silence becomes a mirror they cannot escape. It reflects their insecurity, their fear of being insignificant without the showmanship they depend on. And when God chooses to use you to humble the mighty, He does not need you to make noise. He allows your stillness to carry a message. Your silence becomes a spiritual force field, one that reveals how empty loud authority can be when confronted with genuine inner strength. They feel threatened because they cannot read you, cannot predict you, cannot influence you, and cannot bend your spirit to their expectations. While others raise their voices to prove a point, you carry an authority that requires no volume. Silence, when backed by God's presence, becomes power, and the mighty, who are accustomed to being feared or respected because of their titles or positions, suddenly feel small in front of someone who holds no title yet carries spiritual weight. Your silence humbles them because it reminds them that true power is not noisy. It is steady, grounded, divine, and unshakable. 2. Their confidence shakes when you show up. The mighty may appear bold on the outside, walking with pride, projecting certainty, and maintaining an image of strength. But when God's chosen one walks in, something inside them trembles. Their confidence, which seemed so unbreakable moments earlier, begins to crack beneath the surface. You will see it in small, subtle ways. They begin fumbling over their words, over-explaining themselves, becoming unusually defensive, or suddenly trying too hard to impress people around them. They don't understand why your presence affects them this way, but you do. The anointing you carry is not just spiritual, it is atmospheric. It shifts the energy in the room. It exposes false confidence, artificial dominance, and the insecurities they have hidden behind power, status, titles, or material success. When you show up, the light of God shining through you forces them to confront truths they have avoided. Their internal fears, their need for validation, their dependence on position to feel significant. You are not trying to intimidate them. It simply happens because your presence reveals the difference between human-made confidence and God-given assurance. They sense something in you they cannot name. Strength without aggression, authority without shouting, influence without trying, power without ego. And that shakes them. They realize, even if they never say it out loud, there is something divine backing you, something they cannot manipulate, something they cannot compete with, something they cannot overshadow. This is why their confidence falters, not because of who you are alone, but because of who is walking with you. 3. They watch you more than they watch themselves. Chosen one. People who consider themselves mighty suddenly become observers in your presence. Individuals who normally command attention, who expect the room to revolve around them, begin shifting their focus toward you without even realizing it. They watch the way you walk, the way you speak, the way you react, the way you carry yourself, and even the way you breathe. They become students in classrooms they didn't plan to attend. And this is not because you are performing for them. It's because the authenticity you live with naturally draws eyes, naturally awakens curiosity, and naturally commands a respect that titles cannot purchase. When God is using you to humble the mighty, He turns your life into a silent sermon. You become a walking lesson, a breathing example, a demonstration of principles that they have never mastered. They are used to authority that comes from external positions, but you carry authority that comes from internal alignment with God. You are a living reminder that true greatness comes from character, integrity, resilience, and divine connection, not from status, not from money, not from social influence. And so they watch you more intently than they watch themselves. They begin comparing their reactions to yours, questioning their own motives, and even adjusting their behavior after seeing how effortlessly you navigate situations that overwhelm others. Your life exposes what they lack: groundedness, peace, truth, direction, and spiritual depth. They study you not because they want to praise you, but because something in you confronts something in them. They don't say it out loud, but internally they recognize that God is using your life as a measuring rod, not to shame them, but to awaken them. 4. They copy you quietly. When God uses you to humble the mighty, something remarkable happens. They begin to imitate you, often without ever admitting it. You may notice subtle shifts around you. Someone starts adopting a habit you naturally maintain, or mirrors the way you approach, challenges, organize your life, or carry yourself with calm authority. They attempt to replicate your style, your demeanor, even your decision-making patterns, because your authenticity exposes the superficiality of their authority. The mighty often rely on external trappings, titles, money, influence, or loudness, to maintain their image, but they see in you something they cannot manufacture: real substance, quiet confidence, and an inner power that comes from alignment with God. They want the results you achieve, the respect you command, and the influence you wield, but they are unwilling to walk the same path of discipline, resilience, and spiritual growth that brought you there. Their imitation, though silent, is revealing. They unconsciously acknowledge that your approach works, even when theirs fails. They study you like an unspoken blueprint, hoping to unlock the secret to your success without embracing the integrity and effort that made it possible. But God allows this imitation as a subtle way to humble them. They see excellence and instinctively desire it, yet they remain disconnected from the source that produces it. Your life becomes a mirror that reflects their gaps, insecurities, and dependence on outward power. And through this process they are forced to confront the truth. Real influence cannot be copied, it must be cultivated from the inside out. The mighty may attempt to mirror your actions, but they cannot replicate your spirit, and it is this very realization that humbles them. Every silent act of imitation is a testimony to your authenticity, a signal that God is elevating you in ways they cannot fake or control. 5. They feel small when they realize you can't be bought. Mighty people often assume that loyalty, attention, and influence can be purchased with benefits, gifts, flattery, or opportunities. They are accustomed to people bending, complying, or compromising for personal gain. But when God uses you to humble them, they quickly realize that your principles are untouchable. You operate on a level where your integrity is priceless and cannot be bribed, bargained, or swayed by worldly incentives. Your refusal to compromise on values, even under pressure, challenges their perception of control. They are forced to confront the uncomfortable truth that strength and power are not measured by what can be acquired or manipulated, but by what cannot be bought or corrupted. They see that your influence comes not from external rewards, but from spiritual depth, consistency, and alignment with a higher purpose. And this realization makes them feel small because everything they have relied upon, their status, their leverage, their wealth, cannot penetrate the armor of your integrity. They understand, consciously or subconsciously, that true respect and authority cannot be coerced. It must be earned, cultivated, and sustained from a place of authenticity. God uses your incorruptibility as a divine tool to expose how fragile their influence really is. When they witness your unshakable loyalty to what is right and your inability to be purchased, their pride begins to crumble. Their usual methods of dominance and control fail to operate against someone grounded in righteousness and divine favor. They become aware that no amount of effort, no clever scheme, and no status can undermine the values that guide your life. This awareness is a spiritual humbling, a quiet but profound recognition that God is using you as an instrument to demonstrate the enduring power of incorruptibility. 6. Your wisdom destroys their pride. Wisdom is more than knowledge. It is insight, discernment, and understanding that transcends age, experience, and even formal education. When God uses you to humble the mighty, your words carry an authority that cannot be challenged because they come from a place of divine alignment. Even the most arrogant or self-assured individuals find themselves reconsidering previously unshakable beliefs when confronted with your perspective. Your speech is measured, thoughtful, and purposeful, yet it penetrates deeper than any loud argument or display of intellectual superiority could. They cannot dismiss your wisdom because it is grounded in experience, integrity, and spiritual insight that goes beyond superficial titles or social position. Each time you speak with calm authority, they are forced to face the limitations of their pride. They begin questioning things they once assumed as truths, and they feel a subtle unease as their certainty diminishes. This process is not about you proving yourself or winning an argument. It is about God using your life as a conduit of truth. Your wisdom illuminates what they lack: understanding, humility, and a connection to a higher source of knowledge. Pride, which has often allowed them to dominate and intimidate others, begins to erode because they recognize that real power does not come from showing off or exerting control. It comes from insight, clarity, and alignment with divine principles. Your knowledge humbles them silently as they see that your decisions, your clarity, and your foresight consistently reflect truth. Every interaction becomes a mirror, reflecting the inadequacy of arrogance when faced with genuine wisdom. And in that reflection, they are reminded that titles, wealth, and influence are meaningless without understanding, integrity, and a connection to God. 7. They can't manipulate you. Mighty people are often experts at controlling others. They rely on manipulation, intimidation, guilt, or pressure to bend situations to their favor. They have perfected the art of influencing people through fear, coercion, and strategic flattery, assuming that everyone will respond predictably. But when God is using you to humble them, all of their tactics fail. Every attempt to sway you falls flat, as if an invisible barrier shields your spirit. You are anchored in a foundation that is not of this world, rooted in divine alignment and moral clarity. You see through their strategies long before they are even fully articulated. Their usual methods of control, whether emotional, psychological, or social, are powerless against someone whose strength is derived from God rather than circumstance or ego. This resistance humbles them profoundly because it exposes the illusion of their authority. They realize that their influence is only as strong as the willingness of others to comply, and when they meet someone whose loyalty, decisions, and actions are governed by spiritual discernment, they confront the uncomfortable truth. Their power is limited, fragile, and temporary. God uses your ability to stand firm as a divine lesson, teaching them that true influence is earned through integrity, character, and alignment with higher principles, not through intimidation or manipulation. Every time they try to twist the narrative or exert control over you and fail, their pride diminishes. They are forced to confront the reality that power is not about forcing outcomes. It is about living with a quiet strength that commands respect naturally. Your unwavering stance becomes a testimony that real authority cannot be manufactured. It is cultivated from the inside out, and nothing external can shake it. This is a humbling experience for anyone who has relied on coercion rather than authenticity to assert their dominance. 8. Your favor annoys them. While the mighty expend efforts scrambling for attention, recognition, or opportunity, you find that blessings flow to you effortlessly. Doors open without knocking, support comes without pleading, and opportunities arrive without orchestrating or maneuvering for them. This is the supernatural favor of God at work, and it frustrates those who rely on networks, leverage, and influence to achieve results. The mighty are trained to believe that success is earned through connections, schemes, and exertion, but they see you thriving without any of the struggles or manipulations they expect. Your rise highlights a truth they cannot deny. Divine favor is unearned, unbought, and unstoppable. It works independently of human calculation and reveals a higher law at play, one that cannot be controlled by wealth, status, or intimidation. This supernatural support exposes their reliance on worldly methods and underscores their limitations. They watch in silent frustration as your growth, opportunities, and success appear natural, effortless, and aligned with a higher purpose. Each blessing you receive, each breakthrough, and each moment of recognition reminds them that human control is secondary to divine orchestration. They may try to compete, strategize, or even sabotage, but your favor cannot be hindered. This realization chips away at their pride because it demonstrates the futility of their attempts to control outcomes they cannot influence. God's hand in your life is visible to those who are watching closely, even if they cannot articulate it. The mighty are humbled, not through confrontation, but through the undeniable reality that some forces in life operate beyond manipulation, and you are living proof of that truth. 9. They realize God is with you. This is the ultimate sign, the pinnacle of divine intervention. At some point, even the most self-assured and mighty individuals recognize that something greater than human effort surrounds you. They may not vocalize it, may not even consciously articulate it, but deep inside they feel the presence of God at work through your life. Your resilience, your breakthroughs, your protection, and your spiritual growth all testify to a higher power guiding your steps. They see it in the way challenges are navigated effortlessly, in the way opportunities seem to align perfectly, and in the way your character remains unshakable under pressure. Fighting you becomes a terrifying proposition, because they sense, even if only subconsciously, that opposing you is tantamount to opposing God Himself. This recognition humbles them completely. Titles, money, influence, networks and strategies, once sources of pride and confidence, suddenly pale in comparison to the divine guidance that propels you forward. They are forced to confront the ultimate truth. Human power is transient, fragile, and often hollow without alignment with the Creator. Your life becomes a living testament to God's sovereignty and providence. When they sense that their schemes, influence, and authority are powerless against the hand of God, their pride crumbles. The mighty may bow not to you personally, but to the undeniable truth of God's work manifesting in your life. This realization transforms the dynamic entirely. It is no longer about human comparison or competition. It is about witnessing the supernatural elevation of someone chosen and guided. In that recognition, they are humbled, made to see that divine power surpasses all worldly might, and that God's chosen ones move under protection, favor, and anointing that cannot be contested, imitated, or defeated. Chosen one, if these signs resonated with your spirit, then understand this: God is preparing you not just to rise, but to reveal. Your life is a living testimony that true power comes from above, not from earthly positions. This is the Zillion Mind Channel. If this message reached you at the exact moment you needed it, make sure to subscribe, and as a prophetic act of alignment, type 1111 in the comments section to receive divine blessings, breakthroughs, and spiritual protection. Your elevation has already begun. Walk in it boldly. Thank you for watching.